The reason, I think, in large part, that the first opening was so explosive, even violent, it was very much connected with how difficult I was pushing. I was like a bottle of carbonated liquid that just had been shaken up for 5 years violently, and then the top got taken off of it.
I think most people's experience is that awakening is a gradual process for them. Perhaps small, punctuated moments, but not the kind of story that you share for yourself, the kind of depth, nuclear explosion, and I think that's more rare. And one of the things I'm curious about is, do you think that people can actually reach a depth of knowing, a depth of awareness of being, however you want to put that, this shift in identity, through a gradual approach? Or do you think, really, come on, at some point there has to be some big, dramatic event?
It's a good question. I appreciate that. I'll answer it as honestly as I can, which is the reason that I'm reflecting, the reason for the moment to reflect is because one of the things that really stands out in my experience these days is how paradoxical truth is. It's not paradoxical in experience, but it's paradoxical as soon as I even think about it to myself, much less describe it. And so what I mean by that is yes, I've seen people that have had quite gradual awakenings where things are realized like in retrospect, where there's been some real change. And I don't mean just ordinary psychological change, but a real fundamental change of how they perceive life. That they just kind of slide into, and they don't know. A day comes when they kind of go, oh yeah. It's like they recognize it, but they can't tell you when. But having said that, I think that I can't imagine any kind of awakening that at some point there weren't these moments of recognition, not necessarily, mind-bending experiences, but just recognitions where you really do realize unequivocally that you really are perceiving differently than you did. If you never know that you're perceiving differently than you did, then it's that's one of the hallmarks of a real shift, is there's a consciousness about what's happening. So it's kind of in the middle, I think there will always be moments of recognition, but when I look back, the reason, I think, in large part, that the first opening was so explosive, even violent, it was very much connected with how difficult I was pushing. I was like a bottle of carbonated liquid that just had been shaken up for 5 years violently, and then the top got taken off of it. And, there's going to be a violent eruption of that energy. It's like it's all going to explode at one point. So I think I was almost, without knowing it, kind of creating and storing this kind of psychic tension that released. That's why years later, when I had the other awakening, it wasn't violent at all. It wasn't explosive. It was revelatory, but there was no explosive quality to it. It's because I wasn't pushing. I wasn't striving. There was no buildup of psychic tension that had been happening. And so some people are just hooked up to where striving in the way I was striving, it's not part of their makeup. They can have the same interest, but they go about it in a different way, and they're probably not going to experience these, really almost volatile sounding shifts. They're going to happen more gently. So I actually, and since I've been teaching and I've watched people have different awakenings, usually when it's real explosive, there has been a buildup of psychic tension, either through their own seeking or through through their psychology, where they've been carrying a tremendous amount of pain or sorrow, or something that's created a deep psychic tension. They're the ones that tend to have these explosive awakenings. And the people that, for whatever reason, they're not hooked up to carry a lot of psychic tension, theirs are much more like a bit more like a flower opening. It may open quickly, it may open a little slowly, but there's a gentleness and an ease to it. I often tell people now, I know I can't alter people's course. Anyone more than my teacher can convince me not to strive like I was striving, but I certainly don't try to encourage a kind of pursuit that builds up a great psychic tension, because number one, it's not ultimately necessary. It may be necessary for a particular person, like it was me, but ultimately it's not necessary. And it's not always wise. It's not always wise. It takes a kind of ordinary human groundedness to be able to experience those things without you coming out of it feeling very ungrounded or extremely disoriented. Even though it was a wild experience, I mean, 10 minutes later, I did not feel ungrounded at all. And that's because I was just kind of a pretty grounded kind of person going in. But if you're not, then I really try to get people, don't push really hard if you're already all tied up inside, because it may not be the best thing for you. You may get more ungrounded than you're ready for.
Discover on-demand videos and docuseries, explore a full schedule of daily life classes, and become part of an incredible community. At Sounds True One, we invite you inward to find your way your way.